All right, cool. All right, sorry about that, you guys. Let's jump right into it. So my name is McKinley. This slide makes it look like my name is SpellBound. SpellBound is the company I work for. So I'm the head of business development. I help hospitals implement various augmented reality for their patients. Anything from tools for child life to space transformation to what we'll be talking about here, which is patient education. So we sort of jump right into that with a quick walk through the patient's journey. So as I'm sure you guys already know, because it's a part of your day-to-day, the patient's journey through an MRI can be stressful, particularly if you've had an MRI before. It's perhaps a little bit more complex than what's laid out right here in this diagram, but essentially, a patient has an ordering physician says that a patient needs an MRI, and so they schedule that appointment. They show up to the appointment. They have the MRI, and then there's a recovery period, often if sedation is used. And so what we've heard from hospitals is that sedation rates, particularly for pediatric patients, sort of run the gamut, right? I've heard numbers as high as 80 to 90%. And hospitals are sort of realizing that this is an issue that can be tackled through patient education. It can be tackled through child life, setting up a program like MRI Can Do It or something like that. And in order to acclimate patients to MRIs before they even see the procedure, before they even see the MRI. And those efforts actually allow more patients to go through MRIs without sedation. And so a part of that, hospitals are using tons of different technology, and child life in a lot of cases sort of leading that push. From programs where a child life specialist is emailing parents, emailing families with the information that they'll need to make an educated decision about whether or not their child needs to be sedated for the MRI. That's actually helping drive down sedation rates, is just making sure that parents are educated. And that's happening in the home. I've heard of hospitals using actual mock scanners, like the GE, I think they call it the kitten scanner, where once patients are in the hospital, then they can use a mock MRI and get acclimated to the procedure that way. And all of these efforts, they decrease the cost involved, they decrease utilization of anesthesiology resources, whether that's the actual resources of sedation or if that's the nurse's time. And of course, it decreases risk. The fewer patients that we introduce to these sorts of chemicals in order to get them through an MRI, the better, of course. And it also, of course, for image, getting an MRI can be traumatic for a patient, which means it's traumatic for parents and for the family as well. So that really sort of having something in place to address this issue really boosts the hospital's brand, really signals to families that this is a place that you can really trust. So I want to also jump in. These are some of the methods that I just talked about that hospitals are using to get patients acclimated, to make sure that patients and families understand what the procedure is all about before they go in. As I mentioned, there's scale models, there's virtual reality, 360 video. All of these things are fantastic. Virtual reality is very immersive. Scale models are very hands-on. And so, we've also got traditional methods like pamphlets and videos and that sort of thing. But what you'll notice is that not all of these methods can be used in the home, and not all of them are very interactive. So virtual reality is great, but it might not be that interactive. And also the hardware has to stay at the hospital, right? Not every family has virtual reality goggles at home. So one of our solutions was to use augmented reality. So augmented reality allows us to use the mobile devices that patients and families already have on them, mobile devices that are already within the hospital, and sort of get patients acclimated in every setting. So they can use an MRI simulation, augmented reality simulation within the home, and then they can also use it just before the scan, working with the child life specialist, and also it's hyper interactive. So they're more engaged with what they're doing, they're learning more about the procedure before they even have to go in. All right, and so that is the perfect way to lead into the demo. So just give me 1 second here. Pull that up for you guys. All right. So we can go up, and you guys right now should be seeing like sort of a desk right now. If you could raise your hand if you can see that. Should be sharing that right now. I'm going to turn off the first video. I'm going to turn off the video of my face right quick. I know, I'm sorry. All right. Are you guys seeing if you could raise your hand if you can see the sort of screen of the desk? No. Okay, give me 1 moment, you guys. My apologies. Show up for time, so that's not the issue. There we go. Cool. Up and running. Awesome. So what you guys are seeing is my phone. This is the mobile. This could be an iPad that Child Life uses. This could be the mobile devices that families have. So we've got our test device hooked up, and this is what they'll see, and this is what you'll see. And just for perspective, it's just on a stand. That's our intern. And so I'm going to show you guys our MRI simulator, run you through some of the basics of it. And then if you've got any questions, feel free to toss them into just the question section, and then we're going to send out a handout that has all the questions and all the answers. We'll follow up with that by email after it's done. All right, you guys should be seeing a little cat that's about to get an MRI here. So right now it's sort of walking the patient through. There's narration that doesn't go through the screen share. It's walking the patient through what an MRI is, so that they are understanding not only through visual language, but also auditory. And this, we're also working on new languages, so Spanish and Mandarin are coming next. And so this right here where it's saying continue, that's a point of interaction where the patient themselves can sort of digest the information and then continue on to the next module, the next section of the simulator. Alrighty. So right now it's prompting the patient to press the button to actually hear what the MRI sounds like. That's sort of a huge portion of any patient, even adults, like even myself. Like I looked up, when I had to have an MRI, I looked up what the sound was going to be like, so I knew that was going to be terrifying. So this button actually allows the patient to interact and play the sound. Again, when I do one-on-one demos, you'll be able to hear the sound and all that stuff, but the webinar software doesn't allow the sound to transfer over, unfortunately. And I can also follow up with a video as well that has all that good stuff. And here again, where we continue. And so one of the great things about having those little pauses where it says continue is that's a perfect opportunity to pause the experience, and the child life specialist can then, or a parent can then work with the child, sort of contextualize the things that are happening. So right now we're actually about to give Murray the MRI. We're going to press that button. The patient can press this, the patient or the parents can press this, the child life specialist can press it. And so this part of the simulation emphasizes the importance of staying still. So the narration right now is just explaining that Murray the cat didn't stay still, so now we have a blurry diagnostic image, which is not what we're looking for, right? And so we actually get a prompt where we Pet Murray, so anyone can sort of, using their fingers, Pet's Murray, just by tapping the screen, and he'll purr a little bit, the whole nine. Let's get it a little bit closer here. Just chilling out a little bit, so he's getting less anxious. And then we can go place him back in, and let's see how that diagnostic image comes out. Still getting it. At this point, it's playing the sounds, which, as I'm sure you guys are all familiar with, are crazy. Imagine working next to the developer that was building the experience and just playing those sounds on loop for 7 days a week. And just there, you saw the correct diagnostic image, perfectly clear because Murray stays still. Again, emphasizing sort of all the important bits, what they need to be prepared for, what their part is. And then, of course, we can restart or we can continue to interact. So we're treating this, it's got gamified elements for the patients where, we've even got, now that Murray's successful, he's smiling now, and then you can continue to play with the MRI, you can continue to play the sounds. So let me, so what you have there is the base version of our MRI simulator. As I mentioned, there's a lot of flexibility there for switching languages, Spanish, Mandarin. We might be getting a request to put it in Thai, maybe Japanese, so we're really excited about all that stuff. So if you've got a suggestion for a language, throw it out. Doesn't matter how obscure the language is. We'll try and make it happen. One more here. So exit out of this. I'm going to pull up the slide deck one more time. Awesome. All right. So, that was just one simulator. As I mentioned, augmented reality is very flexible. So we're working on building additional modules. We're looking at doing proton therapy, BCUG, everything from fluoro, ultrasound. Sort of the sky is the limit there. So we're really excited about the coming months. And then with the simulator itself, this is currently out. So if any of you guys are interested in doing a one-on-one demo, learning a little bit more, I didn't really get into a lot of the nitty-gritty on this, but I'd absolutely love to. And then as those of you that know me and know SpellBound, we just genuinely love bringing technology, not just to child life, but to patients. So if any of you guys just has a question about the technology that's in the space, even if it's VR, we're absolutely willing to sort of talk to you about what's going on there in that space and give you the info. So I'm going to review any of the questions that popped up during the webinar, and then I will, what's that?
Just one. Oh, yeah.
And then, sorry, our intern was popping up the mouth. And then I'll review those and send them out to everybody that attended. And then I'll also send out a bibliography that has some more resources for you guys. So, once again, thanks for showing up. We appreciate you guys. It's really just great to have everybody come in and be interested in what's new. All right. So I will let you guys get onward to your day. I know those pagers are always going off. I know you guys are always busy. So have a good one.